Media Men Online. I'm Dan. This is Isaiah.
What's up? What's up?
And we're back. It's Thursday, so we'll be here. Gonna talk about some movies, the Oscars, a couple of video games, you know, the usual stuff. I actually did get around to watching the first episode of Sakamoto Days, so gonna talk a little bit about that. But first, CBS News has here who won the Oscars for 2025. So there's a full list of results, but the big winner was Anora, taking home 5 awards, which I think is a record. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I think Parasite got 4.
Yeah. So Best Picture, Best Actress. Let's see. Best Director. Oh my God. That's like all the ones.
Yeah, I mean, usually, like, whatever gets best
original screenplay, best film editing.
Usually, best director and best picture often line up.
Yeah.
So, like, usually, what happens is when best director is announced, they're just like, all right, this is the best picture. Because I mean, I think it's happened the past few years.
Yeah.
Like, I know what happened with like Parasite, where people are like, huh, the guy just won best director. There's no way he's gonna win best picture.
Yeah. What was it? Our favorite movie of 2024 won the best makeup.
Yeah,
which was The Substance. Anything else jump out at you?
Yeah, the 2 losses of the night, which was the 2 awards that Amelia Perez won. Won best original song, and then best supporting actress. Zoe Salanda there. I don't know. I was hoping for Best Actress to go to Demi Moore for The Substance, but
yep.
I need to watch Anora because the main lead, Mikey Madison, from that won that. And there's a YouTuber that I follow who really is like into the Oscar stuff, and he was like Anora, like before Oscar stuff, he's like Anora should be the winner for such and such stuff.
Interesting.
He really liked the movie, so I was like, I should probably go and see this. I have no idea what it's about even, so. But it's coming back to theaters because it won, so.
Basically, it's about a prostitute who meets up with this she's either a stripper or a prostitute. I can't really tell what they mean by sex worker. I'm putting that in hard quotes because that's what they describe her as. Meets up with like a Russian oligarch, and she has to fake marry him. Well, she has to real marry him for a fake relationship, so that it's kind of like a love story, like a Pretty Woman type situation. I haven't seen it, but
we'll see, I guess.
Yeah. Congrats to all the winners except for Amelia Perez. Yeah. No congratulations to you. If I play this on Twitch, is it gonna jack me or what?
Probably.
Oh, okay. Basically,
you have to be very careful with anything sports related and playing videos.
So MLB, you can go on YouTube and watch it. They teamed up with Demon Slayer. There's going to be merch coming out. They're doing a 3-game series in Japan. I would say the second most popular baseball country is Japan, other than the US. Even though there's a lot of South American countries, Cuba, Dominican Republic, who all have it, but Japan is so online with America in terms of how big it is that they created a Demon Slayer crossover. And when you get a chance, Isaiah, watch this. It's Demon Slayer styles with baseball players. And it's done by Ufotable. Yeah, it's a little short video. I don't know exactly how long it is. I don't want to play this or else it's going to...
Yeah, get claimed.
Yeah, but...
There's that branded content.
The website, mlb.com/vid, you can see it up here on the top of the screen, or just go to YouTube or Google and say MLB Demon Slayer crossover, and you'll be able to see it. But we can't talk much more about it because it is what it is, but it's a fun little short, and I'm interested to see what kind of merch they get. Unfortunately, it's the Dodgers and the Cubs, which I wouldn't buy either their merch, but I would like to see maybe they do, crossover with all the teams. But they do this cool thing. Let me show you here. Is the shop on here? Yeah. So they do this thing. Oh, did you see the animation or the art there?
Yeah.
So they have some stuff here already where they'll do the Japanese kanji there for the baseball players. $155? Are you nuts?
Nope.
So they have all this kind of stuff Tokyo series. If they had it for Yankees, I would get one because it just looks pretty cool. But yeah, and everything's a little bit more expensive than usual, but I do like the style.
That's the extra branding cost there. Like with the Final Fantasy Magic set, it's like they're like the Final Fantasy tax.
Of course. But yeah, check that out. Go watch the video. I won't play it. Go watch it. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle gets international dates released for North America September 12th this year.
And it's just the first movie.
Yeah. It's a 3-part series, right?
Which, I mean, I won't get too much into it here, but I actually kind of don't like that they're taking the arc and splitting it into 3 movies, because unlike a TV series where you can keep coming back to it week after week, we're going to watch the first third of this and then have to wait months. So I'm even slightly thinking I might just read it, because
you don't know how it ends.
I don't know how it ends. I have been staying behind. So typically if I watch an anime before I read it, I'll try to, do
the anime first.
Yeah. But the only exception was My Hero, because I mean My Hero is what got me kind of really into manga. My Hero is what got me into reading and getting the Shonen Jump app.
Right.
So it's like there's some exceptions like that, but I know it's the same thing with Attack on Titan. I don't know how that ends. I haven't read past where I am in the anime. Same thing with Demon Slayer. Every time I watch a season, I'll read up to where it is then, after the fact, but I haven't really gone past it.
Yeah, and it was surprising it ended when it was at peak popularity, but better to get out on top. Everyone's still so fond of this.
Well, it's just because of the anime, really, because the manga was coming out. And it was just kind of like,
it was mid.
People are, and I'd even say that with Demon Slayer, where I'd even say like Demon Slayer as like a show is good, but it's not anything amazing. It's just the animation. It's Ufotable, who's fantastic at what they do. I think when I talked about it on this podcast, when I watched the last season, I was like, that last episode has some of the best animation I've ever seen in anything ever, like the house, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and it's a combination as well of the proper animation, but also with the styles, and I forget what they're called. Not the stands or the styles, but like when he does the water thing.
The breathing techniques?
The techniques, and they're so vibrant. If it was a different style, like...
it's the art style that you're looking at.
It's the art style plus the animation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Keep an eye out for this. I'm going to see this definitely, but there's a sub and a dub.
Well, I guess it's coming to Japan like 2 months earlier is the big thing, I guess.
Of course.
But yeah.
I don't know why with things they just can't do worldwide releases for this pop.
Yeah.
It's just out of control. Scream 7 we talked about before is bringing back Matthew Lillard. And now they're going to bring back Arquette. Yeah.
This is weird. When they say bringing it back, I don't think that means they're going to be back from the dead now. Like, when it was just Matthew Lillard, I was like, okay, maybe they're going to say, like, oh, he actually survived. But they've been announcing, like, him, the guy who plays Roman in 3, and now David Arquette back. It's got to be some sort of, like, memory or, like, something in the past, and they're having flashbacks with these characters. Yeah. That's got to be what it is. Because why else are they bringing back all these characters? Like, it'd be lame to, like, I mean, Dewey shouldn't have died in the first place, but it'd be lame to bring back all these characters from the dead in one movie. So just kind of like, okay, what's the point of death then?
I'm down with pretending 5 and 6 never happened. If we want to do that, that's cool with me, because he dies, then they reveal later it's the chick that kills him. But he gets
Academy Award. It's Academy Award winner Mikey Madison.
Is that who that is?
Yeah, she's the girl from Anora.
But when Dewey gets killed, he gets lifted off the ground with a knife in his gut. So we're meant to believe that the lady did that. Got it. We got 2 bits of Dexter Resurrection news. Neil Patrick Harris with a funny looking brown wig. I want to see if they show it on this. No. Is joining Dexter Resurrection. They got obviously Michael C. Hall, but now Neil Patrick Harris, Charlize Theron, the little dude from Game
Peter
of Thrones.
Dinklage.
Yeah. Isn't it hilarious that is that his real last name? Dinklage? Or is that like a stage name?
I have no idea.
The other one is Kristen Ritter. one of my least favorite actresses on the planet.
Oh, really?
Ugh. Her in Breaking Bad was so insufferable.
See, I don't even remember her from Breaking Bad until people bring it up, but she's Jessica Jones, and that's my favorite. Like, I think that's my favorite season of non-Daredevil season of Marvel TV. The first one. Second season is my least favorite. Second season sucks so much it made me quit watching the Marvel stuff, the Netflix Marvel stuff. But the first season, I'm all about like the mystery stuff, and I've liked her in everything else. Like she was in Sonic 3, and I liked her in that. I just always forget. She was the general, Sonic 3.
Forgettable, but she's joining. Hopefully not as like a main character, but like a like Sarah Michelle Gellar was in Dexter Dexter Original Sin. That'd be nice. We don't need her in every. Please.
All right, so we're gonna talk about the movie that I watched later, but there was a trailer for it where I try to usually avoid watching the trailers, but like I'll watch like the first couple seconds to see if like maybe something that hooks me. And it said it was directed by Michael Filippo and Danny Filippo, who, first off, I don't know if that's how you pronounce their last name. Second, I have a long history with these guys. You might know them from the movie that they released. I think it's almost 3 years ago now. Talk to Me. But
yikes.
But they operated a YouTube channel called Raka Raka, which was all about like current stuff but violent. And they would they were actually doing these stunts for real, like throwing each other into walls and like punching each other, dropping cars off of cranes and things. They were kind of crazy to the point where, once YouTube started to get more strict with its policies, they got instant demonetized because they had so much blood, and that's why they kind of went towards making movies, because like the stuff they wanted to do on YouTube, they just couldn't make it successful anymore. And Talk to Me came out. I actually liked it quite a bit. Was it perfect or like the best movie I saw that year? No, it had some flaws, but I still enjoyed it quite a bit, especially like the ideas behind it. So I saw this. I don't know anything about the movie really from the trailer at all, but it looked interesting, and I'm excited to see more of what they do. I've been following their career for probably over 10 years now. So
was it a short trailer?
Very short trailer.
Good.
It just showed like a cat and then a bunch of random images where it would say like, it says from the directors of Talk to Me, and then it was like they kept the word me, and it was like let me in, and then they kept on going. They did random words and then ended with bring her back, and then that was it. I have no idea what the movie is about. I didn't even read the little sentence there. That I didn't get any of that from the trailer at all. So color me excited. I don't need to see anything more from it. I'm down to watch it.
Nice.
I just remember it said A24 on the cat's bowl, and I was like, oh, kind of funny how I see A24 now, and it kind of gets me interested, because they have a lot of misses, but they're willing to take risks on stuff that is usually very good. So that always has me excited.
Stuff that the thing about them that gets me interested isn't, I don't think about all the misses, but I think about all the unique movies that they put out, because there's so many strange things that they just all these companies, they just want all the money, so they let the most basic things through. A24 takes chances, and I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, same thing with Blumhouse. I know Blumhouse, the guy Jason Blum, he just is like, this might not be good, but I want to give it a chance, because he's all about like letting people
art.
Yeah, and at the time I was very excited because they were working together with Chris Stuckman on his movie, and all that stuff has.
Did that ever come out?
It's still releasing. It's been releasing in shows, and I think it's supposed to be sometime this fall. I've been getting Kickstarter updates, because like I still did back the Kickstarter way back then. I got 2 free tickets to see the movie in New York City when it premieres there before the official theater release. So I'll probably still go and see that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the movie itself still looks interesting. It's just the guy's reviews that, just kind of changed the way that he wanted to do his reviews, and it made it less interesting because it felt less genuine. So
yeah, we used to watch him quite a bit, and he turned from, well, I'm gonna shoot you straight, to, well, I'm making movies now, I'm gonna be nice.
Yeah, like
you can be nice,
yeah,
but you gotta give the people the down low, the lowdown.
Yeah, it's just that like you can't be both a director and a movie reviewer type of thing from his perspective.
Yeah.
Because, I'm a director and I'd hate it if people, tore down at my work. I don't want to be the person to do that. And it's like, well, then you're not a movie reviewer. Right. You can also review a movie and be negative about it without tearing it down.
Yeah.
You can be constructive about it, which I think Jeremy Jahns is usually very constructive about the way that he reviews stuff.
For the most part, yeah, he absolutely is. Shame on you, Letterboxd. Shame on you for this 3.1 rating. That is criminally low. A true story about seasoned deep-sea divers who battle with raging elements to rescue their crewmate trapped hundreds of feet below the ocean's surface. Last Breath 2025. Okay. So I'll keep this. I strongly encourage anyone who hears this to go see this movie. They do mix in, because this is, I don't know exactly 100% how much they relate to the real story, but certain specific events do happen, and they let you know at the end of the movie that, yes, as unbelievable as it might seem, this did happen. No scientist can explain it. Nobody, I'm keeping it extremely vague. And they tried to mix in some sort of possible explanations, but nobody can figure it out, because that did happen. Woody Harrelson is the seasoned veteran on his last dive mission. This gentleman here, Finn Cole, he's like the young up-and-comer guy. He's done a few missions. And Simu Liu is the dick. He's like the ultra-serious middle guy. So the dynamic is pretty good. I do not like Simu Liu, but he was pretty good in this. The movie is tense. It's extraordinarily interesting. It's one of those movies where I legitimately had to use the bathroom with about 30 minutes left. I'm like, I can't get up from this. I can't move my seat. Mm-hmm. It's so interestingly done. And it's the best movie of 2025 so far. And it's honestly, it's not particularly close. The tension alone, and there's a moment in the movie. There's a thing that happens in the movie, and you think that they're going to stretch it out over the course of the hour. But it happens so early in the movie that you're like, how is this? What are we doing? How is this happening? I'll leave it there. Go and see The Last Breath. We haven't had a ton of great movies in 2025 so far, but this is by far the best. And Woody Harrelson's great. This young guy, Finn Cole, I've never seen anything before. I've seen F9, but I don't remember young J. Oh, he played young version of John Cena's character in Fast and Furious 9. There you go. I haven't seen any of these other movies. But go see this movie. It's well worth it. And it's short, too. I think it's only 98 minutes. 93 minutes. So.
In the short movies. Got The Monkey here, which I have an interesting story to go with this one. So, I watched this movie for the first time on Tuesday. And if I had just watched it then and came into this review, I'd probably be pretty, not able to say much and or a little bit negative on it. Because I got into that theater and I had not been sleeping well for 4 or 5 days straight. And I was super out of it from the halfway point on. So from almost exactly on time because I guess slight spoilers, I won't get too much into it. But there's a big time jump because it's half the movies when they're kids, half the movies when they're adults. Around the time when the movie goes to when they're adults, that's when I started to zone out and fall asleep and get really tired. Not the movie's fault, my fault. So what I did is I was like, okay, I need to actually be able to talk about this movie. I went to bed like 3 hours early that night to try to get more sleep. I got a little bit more. I was still feeling pretty tired, but I also did the additive of, okay, I'm going to bring food in with me and eat it while I'm watching the movie, and that should hopefully give me energy and keep me awake, which I did. I watched it a second time the day after, and I was able to stay awake for the full thing. And just starting off, like, you know, really at this point, spoiler free. Adam Scott and Elijah Wood are in it way less than I thought they would. Like, I think Elijah Wood's in it for like a single scene for like 60 seconds. That's it. I thought he was gonna be like a main character. It was nice to see Adam Scott in the beginning of the movie, like the cold open.
So what was his character?
Like who he was?
Yeah.
He's the dad.
That's what I thought, but they don't ever say.
Well, so it's implied because he's wearing the pilot's outfit. They talk about how his dad is a pilot. It's like you actually see that outfit that he's wearing in the closet. And he says, you know, I bought this for my 2 boys.
Right.
We're not really spoiling the opening, but they do kind of imply that. But I did take some notes the second time watching through it, and do we want to do a full review for this movie? Like, should I go like deep into it or just do my basic thoughts?
Whatever.
I guess I'll just do my basics right now. When I went into this movie, since I didn't watch a single trailer for it, I was not expecting a horror comedy going into it. So that was very jarring at first, because the movie does take itself, like, it does like what a lot of horrors do now, where it has some light comedy to it, but like as soon as it cuts to like the priest guy, and I was like, what the heck? This just seems bad. Like, it felt totally off. And I really felt like, you know, at times throughout the entire movie, the tone feels off, where the comedy seemed to undercut some of the serious moments. But other times, it works really well. Like, there's
like what?
What do you mean?
What point does the comedy undercut the serious moment?
Well, like, they're having, once again, not trying to get too much into spoilers, but like there's, you know, they're really playing up the horror with something. And an example where it works well, when he sees the monkey in the bedroom for the first time, and it starts playing the really ominous music, and then it cuts him saying, did you put the monkey in my room again? That's a moment where I'd say it worked well. But a lot of the time, I'd say around like a lot of the deaths, where it seems like it's really building up this really good horror scene with the death, it will then like undercut it with like a joke or reaction. And it's like I'm really feeling in the moment, and then that would take me out of it.
The point that
especially some of the sad
realized
scenes,
that it was just kind of a strange depiction of the movie I wasn't expecting. The main child, when he's an adult, is taking his son. They're in a motel, in this weird Final Destination type thing with the air conditioner falls down and it goes into the pool. There's some sort of electrical current into the pool, and there's this woman about to dive in, and once she hits the water, she explodes into this comically, like, you wouldn't expect the type of detonation. This woman, it was like she was filled with C4, and it's just raining blood. But I thought that added like because it felt like such a strange movie that it really helped my enjoyment of it. I think if she would have dove in and she just kind of like got zapped, and her body's floating, maybe there's some smoke, it would have been it wouldn't have been memorable. But I've been thinking about that since I've seen this movie. She explodes so dramatically that it was comical, but it was in this sort of way, like, oh damn, not like ha 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 ha. So that's the comedy I got, was holy sugar. That was my experience.
Yeah, I still liked the movie quite a bit, and like I said, the tone, like the balancing of tone between comedy and horror works. Like, I'd say more than half the time. It's just the times it doesn't. Like, I'm thinking that time really pulled me out of it, because I think especially like the way he reacts to that happening is very quick, nonchalant, and just kind of like like think The Closet with the shotgun. That one as well, where it's just kind of like, this seems a little too over top. The top
shotgun was crazy.
Not because like that kind of scene could never work. I think it's because the horror scenes like that where it gets real serious, really put you into it and really work well. And I was trying to think of like, okay, like what is really pulling me out of it, and I think of, okay, what horror comedy really worked for me, and for me it was like Cabin in the Woods, where I feel like, and this is I think the difference, when the movie wants you to like gets into the horror and is taking it very seriously, it stays in that tone, and it's able to shift between being comedic about something and then the horror very well. And I felt like this one just, it would flip-flop between the two of them a little too quickly. Like, none of the deaths really ever are taken seriously. When I feel like if you sat on the tragedy of those a little bit, instead of like the how do I say this without spoiling it? But like the first non-opener death, where like I think I actually mentioned where it just cuts to this priest guy and he's just being super jokey, and it's like, wait, it felt really off to me at first, because I was like, this guy just seems like he does not care at all. And I wasn't getting at first that, oh, that's the point. They wanted to be like, oh, isn't it kind of silly how he doesn't care about death at all? But I do want to talk about things I like about a lot.
Before you move on, so when you specifically, to me, seeing it from the other perspective, this kid, the main guy, so obviously the main character, we haven't said, plays two different roles. He plays a pair of twins as an adult. He's been through so much crap, and to the point where he only sees his son once every month. He only sees once every year. He saw his mother die. He didn't see his mother die, but he actually technically killed his mother.
So we just want to go straight into spoilers then for it? Okay.
I'm just trying to give a counterpoint to what you're saying as to why I think I will have enjoyed this movie more than you did. Mm-hmm. The gentleman, the main character, and I can't remember he
Hal
plays
and Bill.
Hal. He has been through so much crap that when he sees the woman explode in the pool, he already knows that the monkey is a problem at that point, because he gets the phone call from his brother. And the monkey's back, right? We all know this. So he's going back into that place where he killed his mother. He watched a babysitter die, all sorts of stuff. So from that perspective, it's just another day at the office for him. His life has been consumed by this. So when he sees some random chick explode, he doesn't care.
I would argue for that one specifically, it's been 25 years. So
25 years between kills, but not between him thinking about it every single day.
I know, but it was a little too nonchalant, and it was just like
between
every single
kills,
death.
It could be 25 centuries. It doesn't matter. He's lived with that his entire life.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, wouldn't that make it more tragic? Where you thought this thing was over, you've been living it with your whole entire life, and all of a sudden it's happening again. Like I said, for me, it felt a little off, but I do want to talk about the stuff I liked, and the one that I did remember, the good comedic timing jump, where when they spin it, they do the key the third time, and it's just like, oh, who could have killed, and it immediately cuts to like the uncle's portrait because he died. I thought that was a nice little, I found that funny, and that's where like the mix between the horror and the comedy really worked well for me. An example of where it did.
Yeah, the thing for me, if they took the comedy out of this movie, it would just be Final Destination with a monkey. So
I'm not saying to take it out. I was just saying there's parts where it worked and parts where it didn't work. Like I said, like the uncle worked really well. I just feel like it needed a better balance between the two. Like, for instance, you take the comedy out of Cabin in the Woods, that movie wouldn't work anymore. It needs both the horror and the comedy. I just felt like it balanced it a little bit better. And that's why I like this movie quite a bit, is I can see it does do it sometimes. In fact, I'd say more times than not. It's just the times that it doesn't really stood out to me. But yeah, so the main guy, Theo James, I think he does a fantastic job. I actually think the kid who plays the kid versions of them is really good because from what I looked up, it's the same actor who plays the two kids. And I thought the entire time I was watching the movie that it had to be like real twins or two different people. But when I looked, unless I misread something, when I looked at the credits, it said that it was one kid who played both of them. Yeah, which was crazy to me because it really felt like there was two people there, almost like when they were there in the same scene.
Yeah, so, more so than the dad, because it was clearly the same guy for the dad, and they do this. It was very janky when they were trying to get him in the same scene.
Yep, at the very end. Yeah, I felt the same thing where it's like, it really felt like, hey, they keep on cutting to the back of the one guy's head in the front and then kept going back and forth. Where I actually wrote that down where I was like, it really, it felt like they were filming around one actor. Whereas with the two kids, it didn't.
I would have, if you wouldn't have just told me that, I wouldn't have guessed. Yeah. I didn't even know they looked similar enough for it to be.
I know that, but that's what's crazy is it's the same actor, which blows my mind. So that's why it's like that really well done job on that kid actor. Like, I think Theo James does an amazing job as well, but that kid actor really good. I really bought him as two completely different people.
Yeah. Production budget for The Monkey $11 million and it made 35, so get it back and then some. Pretty good.
Oh yeah, I'm happy for that. I really liked the effects for the most part. Where like the way, I guess the kills is the way that I'm saying it. I really like the kills. I really think it has a really good opening. Not as good of an opening as, let's say, the what?
I don't know why it's logged into my Google and
oops.
It just did our local theater. Great.
But yeah, I don't I just lost my train of thought there. Oh yeah, the kills. I really like the kills, especially the opening. I don't think it has as good of an opening as Hard Eyes did, with like its kind of like killer opening, but it's also going for a different kind of tone, I feel like, with that one. And Adam Scott.
Hard Eyes opening was so good.
Yeah.
But then there was the rest of the movie.
But you know, there's a lot to like. I think the monkey itself is very creepy looking, a really good, well-designed item there, the way it works. And the big thing I wanted to talk about, I was like trying to go through my notes, I was like, what is it? The message of the movie. I really like the message of this movie, and I do feel like, especially towards the end, they really do a good job at like making it the heart of the movie. The idea that death, like life, takes who it wants and you can't control it. I thought it worked very well, and I could tell this is a very well-written script. A lot of the things that they do, and I guess just kind of ending it on the other little thing, because we talked about this before, it felt like a short story movie.
Yeah.
Stretched out. Like, I could tell, like, it was more like The Black Phone, where I enjoyed a lot of the extensions, and less like Lights Out and Smile, where it just felt artificially stretched. But yeah, I still felt it though, where it's just like, it feels like there's this little short story that probably was either like the opening or the ending. And then they were like, hey, let's pull this out into an entire movie. Yeah. But not that was a complete negative to the movie.
It was a strangely satisfying movie.
Yeah.
I do like these unique movies that we just talked about with talking about A24.
Yeah, I'm happy I saw it a lot. Especially, I know, like the guy with the bangs. I thought he was the other twin for the longest time, because like he showed up and I had no idea who this guy was, so my brain was like, is that supposed to be the other twin? And then my brain started to lose it at that moment. So the entire movie, I thought like he was the twin, until one of my favorite comedy pieces from the movie is like he still wears the suit he had as a kid, but he like tailors it out to be bigger. I thought that was a fun little choice they did with that character there.
Yeah. Oh boy. The Inheritance, 2020. Patriarch of a wealthy and powerful family suddenly passes away, leaving his wife and daughter with a shocking secret inheritance that threatens to unravel and destroy their lives. She's a lawyer. Her brother is running for Congress. Her mother is a wealthy. It's basically a political family who's been.
Yeah, I recognize all those names there. Jeez.
Just yeah. it's a political family who's been in the spotlight. They do some dastardly things to, we'll say, progress, as you can imagine a lot of these scumbag politicians do. Or sorry, a lot of these great public servants do. So Simon Pegg is locked in a basement. The dad passes away. The lawyer gives the girl, first of all, he gives the boy $20 million. He gives her $1 million. But also the secret
Chase Crawford is the
password.
brother.
It's the dude who played Aquaman from The Boys.
Yeah, Chase Crawford.
So, or whatever the guy's name is. Flappy.
It's the
water
deep.
guy. The deep. Whatever.
And Simon Pegg is in The Boys as well. He's Huey's dad.
Yep. So Simon Pegg's locked in the basement. He's telling her all this stuff. So basically, the lawyer gives her a key to this basement where this dude is locked up. What is she supposed to do with him? We don't know. He's been down there 30 plus years. He looks absolutely insane.
Is that him in the picture?
Yeah.
I thought that was like the mom at first. Like, oh, there's the daughter and the mother. But I was like, as you've been talking, I was like, wait, that is Simon Pegg.
Yeah. So he basically manipulates her into letting him loose. Hilarity ensues. Now, the majority of the movie, I would say 85% of the movie, Simon Pegg's locked down there. But he does, spoilers, he does get out at the end. His performance as a psychopath is very good. But the movie's a little slow paced. It has similar have you ever seen that movie with Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler? Law Abiding Citizen?
Yeah, a long time ago. I think we actually talked about it once, but we really liked it.
I don't know. But they have like, it's a very mental game where they're just sitting across from each other for a lot of the movie. She's okay. I would have preferred somebody with a little,
very like Silence of the Lambs-esque.
bit like Silence of the Lambs, where he'll tell her something and she's like, I'm not letting you out until I verify it. Like that kind of thing. Then she'll go out and do some investigations, and meanwhile she finds out more and more things about the family. But it turns out, now spoil, I don't know if anyone's gonna or anyone's heard of it, but the strange thing, the reason it caught my eye is because it was in theaters like a month ago. I didn't get the chance to go see it, so I was surprised when I saw 2020. But it's on Tubi to watch for free. So Tubi's legit free.
Maybe it came out like somewhere specifically in 2020 and it only got its theatrical release.
Yeah, maybe due to the pandemic. Maybe it never got a theatrical release. I don't know why it would be 5 years later, but
yeah, who knows?
it's an alright movie. I can't recommend anyone to go see it, but if anything I said was interesting to you, it would behoove you to try it, especially because it's free.
Is Patrick Warburton the father who passes away?
Maybe? I don't even remember seeing him. Archer Monroe. Yeah, he must be.
And then
he's in it for 40 seconds.
Okay, and then Connie Nelson, I'm guessing, is the mother.
Yeah, she's in it for... She's not in it for very long either.
So
neither is Chase Crawford. It's a lot of just one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So I would...
So do you think a 2.6 is fair?
That's
Average?
pretty fair. It's about like a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's solid, but Simon Pegg, if you like Simon Pegg as an actor, which I don't know anyone who doesn't, it's worth just seeing him as a crazed lunatic, because he's usually the good guy.
Yeah.
In most
or
things.
like a dopey idiot.
Yeah. But he's much closer to his character in Hot Fuzz than Shaun of the Dead, because he's kind of a psychopath in that.
All right, I talked about it last time, how I was going to rewatch Stranger Things Season 1. I didn't get to all of it. I only watched a couple episodes. But I can just tell you from like the first couple of episodes, I was like, oh yeah, this is why I fell in love with this show. The characters, like even just like looking at Hopper as a character, he is like in Season 3 and 4, he is a caricature of who he was. Sure, he's down on his luck, but he feels like a real person. Yes, when Joyce first comes to him about like the missing kid situation, he's very dismissive. But then what does he do, though? He actually follows up on it, though, and takes it very seriously. Like, you can see he treats it very seriously, even though he doesn't think it's really anything at first. And then, like, he starts to learn this more, as he feels like a real character and not the guy out of PI Magnum Gun or whatever.
Controversial statement. I think he's the best character in season 1.
Oh, yeah, 100%. He is the most relatable character, I feel like. Like, you really empathize with this guy. And like I'm of course am a Steve Harrington fan, but I think that really came from like season 2. Like, he has some really good character development at the end of the season, which I didn't get to yet. But like from episode 1 to the end of the first season, which, you know, I'm hoping to finish the rest of it when I get more time. Yeah, Hopper is like the best character by far. Just everyone, like even Joyce, where it's just like she's the manic mom, but you really understand why she's the way she is. You know, how she's had to live with, you know, being a single mom, and then your kid goes missing. It's like, of course you're gonna be a little bit frantic. She feels real. Everybody feels like real people in this show. The only one that doesn't feel quote unquote real, you could say, is 11, because yeah, she has psychic powers. But like, if that kind of person did exist in the real world with the background that they had, this is how I imagine she would be. Yeah. Plus, the cast is its small little size. Like, you could say, oh yeah, there's like 10 people in the cast. That's not small, but it's like, for a TV show where you're kind of, and especially what I think makes the first season work so well, have these 3 different storylines that are all interacting with each other and then lead to the same spot at the end. It works very well, and they all feel very important. Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, go watch Stranger Things season 1, please. It's a masterpiece. And as much as there's still stuff to like in the show, and I would say still that, you know, okay, season 4 wasn't bad, but it is like quite obvious how it's gone from like a 10 out of 10 show to like a 6 out of 10 show. Maybe if I'm being generous, a 7 out of 10. And that's the thing that's unfortunate as well. The actors are still very amazing. And you can tell, like, man, whoever, like the Duffer Brothers, if they're the ones who specifically cast the first season, hit the jackpot on almost every single character. Some of the best, like, child actors ever. And I think David Harbour was mainly he probably was in some stuff, but mainly not a big star at the time. And such a huge get, because, yeah, he is a star who deserves to be a star. And I know he's gotten some really big roles after the fact.
Yeah, when he was evil or Die Hard Santa Claus and Violent Night.
What the heck was he in Suicide Squad? Was he the like the CGI brother in that movie? It's not the new one, it's the original suit.
Oh, he's in this thing?
Well, he's the Red Guardian.
Yeah, but I didn't know he was going to be in Avengers.
Oh, they're putting everybody in it. I mean, who do they actually have that are Avengers? Right?
Oh, that's a good point. Seen Equalizer, but I don't remember.
It's probably some small roles. Like cool, he was in Quantum of Solace. Not that a lot of people like that one. Yeah, they're making a second one. Yeah, after how big that first one was. But yeah, then it's like, I think after that, you know, we got Hellboys and Frankenstein there. Got cast in Black Widow, Violent Night. As much as I don't like it, he is in We Have a Ghost. You know, it's really cool to see his career popping off. I mean, he's in I think that's actually interesting to see, but he's in the Creature Commandos TV show as Frankenstein in that one, and he's actually really fun in that. I like him a lot. That's why it just breaks my heart to see what they did to his character in season 3 of Stranger Things. Because they're like, hey, you know this really good character arc that he went through seasons 1 and 2? Well, we don't know what to do with his character, so we're just going to reset him. Kind of what they did to like all the characters in The Incredibles 2. We're going to reset them back to the way we were at the beginning of the thing and make them go through the same character arc again because of how good it was. But it just doesn't work out as well. Yeah.
Great. I forgot to put this up. I want to talk very, very brief now, as brief as I possibly can, about Monster Hunter Wilds. I played a few hours worth. Wilds. I don't know if I'm ever going to do a full review game, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about it because the game, now I'm playing on PS5, and to be very transparent. I turned off one of the settings. There's a setting that can help with motion sickness, so I turned that off. So it may affect my experience. I want to throw that out there straight away. But to me, Monster Hunter World looks better than this game. I don't know if people out there have been saying that, but it truly... Now, they did make some hot characters in there, which you don't get anymore these days, but it looks better. It plays better, Monster Hunter World. And even the one that I played, what was the one? Daybreak?
Rise.
Monster Hunter Rise. Oh, Daybreak was the DLC. That one even feels more fluid. It definitely doesn't, because I played that one on Switch. It definitely doesn't play better, or like look better. But it feels more fluid in terms of the actions. And the last thing I'll say is I mentioned last time I was a big Switch Axe user. I use it all the time. And when I fired up this game, I pulled out the Switch Axe again. Just wasn't that excited because I probably put, between those two games, probably put 400 hours in using the Switch Axe alone. I don't know if that has something to do with it. Maybe I've used it too much. Maybe I need to mess with other weapons. But it doesn't feel as special this time around.
Yeah, from what my friends have been saying, what I'm getting from you is it's kind of like going from Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. But I'd argue less kind of like improvements to it because it's just like more the same.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom had gameplay improvements, even though the visuals and everything felt the exact same.
Yeah, and it's like the same world for the most part.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give it some more time. Obviously, I paid $70 for the game, but just so far, I'm definitely less than 10 hours into the game. But I want to say 200 hours a piece combined into World and Rise. Jesus, why do I keep hitting the damn name? Real quick, because Isaiah talked about this before, so you can check out the archive, youtube.com/@MediaMen. It'll be up there. You can hear his thoughts. But I just want to say I watched the first episode by not exactly... I definitely didn't watch it on Netflix, we'll say that. But this is such a joyful... It's such a delightful series. I'm a little bit behind in the manga itself, but the series feels very fun, just like the manga. The inner voice of Mr. Sakamoto is well casted for the dub. What's the name of the guy here that's
Sakamoto?
Psychic.
Psychic. Shin, character's name. I don't know who plays him.
He's the psychic guy, and it only works because he can read Sakamoto's thoughts, so we can all hear it. You're hearing it from his perspective. The animation is solid. The art is solid. It's just fun. It's a fun show to watch, and I wouldn't buy Netflix for this, and I didn't. Still watched it. Keep that in mind. But it's fun. It's a fun show, and I'm going to continue it.
Yeah, they got Matt Mercer playing Sakamoto, and they actually did like a advertisement for it where they actually had Matt Mercer like cooking and doing like internal dialogue like he was Sakamoto. And it's really cool when you see like the voice actor really getting into the character as well. Or it just makes it seems like he's a fan of the manga, and a fan of the character, so it's going to make for a good person to play that character.
What a concept, Marvel.
Halo.
What a goddamn concept.
Alrighty. So, funny thing about this video here, it's called When Lost Became About Time Travel. This is actually, I think, like the 4th video he's made about Lost, fourth of 5, talks about Season 5. Made a video about Season 1, did a video about Season 2 and 3 combined, then did one on 4, 5, and then doing one on 6. I'm currently watching one for 6, but you can see these are long videos. This one's 6 hours and 45 minutes. It's a very in-depth review.
Let me ask you a quick question before you get into this. Is the series longer? Is that season that he's talking about longer than 6 hours and 45 minutes?
Probably. Or no, probably not. Sorry.
Okay. Just check.
To be fair, like especially in this video, he goes over a lot of the other media. So he talks about like the video game, the novels, and a lot of the extra media type stuff about Lost.
And no,
But
it was a Lost video game.
Oh yeah, I played the crap out of it because I was big Lost head. I don't think I've talked much about it. I think maybe 1 or 2 times, but Lost is probably like my favorite TV show of all time. Very much into it, and that's why like
You have never told me that before, so
I don't think I've ever said it's my favorite TV show. I've talked about that I liked it, or like, hey, I think I mentioned it once and saying like, oh, I feel like people complain about the ending a bunch, but I actually liked it. I like the ending, and it's Lost. And maybe it's this way: is Lost the best TV show I've ever seen? Probably not. But my experience watching this show and like thinking of like experiencing this as it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Is like insane to me, and it's really hard to think back of because a lot of the twists and reveals as they came out were like mind-blowing, and looking back on it now, it's all the stuff I already know, so I don't feel that same impact that I did at the time.
Right.
But I can tell you, like, the first time that they show like the flash forwards, for those of you who have you watched the show? Do you care about me spoiling it at all?
No, I've never seen a single second of it.
I mean, I would highly recommend it, and I don't want to spoil a lot of stuff because, like, I do think this is one of the things where it's a very twisty and turny show, and it's very fulfilling, and it feels like, hey, a lot of the stuff that they set up, they did have the answer for later on. And in fact, I think he talks about in this video, one of the things, like, they had the hatch, which was this big mystery part of the first season. And they didn't show it for the longest time. J.J. Abrams, who, you know, I like J.J. Abrams a lot, but he's known for, especially with the Star Wars movie, setting up mysteries and not having answers to them, which makes the answers not fulfilling. Whereas, like, they said, hey, we have this hatch that we want to show off, you know, this mysterious thing, and the producer said, we're not going to put it in the show until we know what's inside of it. Because why show it if you don't know what's inside of it? Because then, like, you're kind of stuck into doing very specific things. And that that story right there shows the kind of thought and attention that went into molding this show. And even slight spoilers from the title of that thing, but like when they go into time travel, it's stuff that feels set up beforehand. Like it feels like the show was always leading to this point, even if you didn't know it. It's not as crazy as you might think. It's a lot to get into. It's a 6-hour, 45-minute video going into the show. But that's what I really like about his videos. He goes very in-depth, going a lot behind the scenes and talking a lot about stuff outside of the show as well. And what is it streaming on? They say it's not just... Oh, it looks like it's on Hulu.
Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, Google Play.
But I literally cannot recommend this show enough, especially if you don't know much about the plot of the show. Because there's a lot of reveals and twists and things that happen that will just be like, what? I can't believe they did this. And maybe watching it now, you might not feel it as much because this show's over 20 years old.
Are they hour-long episodes?
No. It's like standard, I think like 45 minutes, which also, because I've been watching the latest video, you can see the guy in the second thumbnail there. The second thumbnail, I can't remember the actor's name, is like Hiro Hoki something. Like he was in Shogun. I was like, I didn't even know that he was in this show. Yeah. But I saw him there. I was like, that's crazy because I like him a lot now. He's really cool. But he was in the show.
So it isn't, if it's a 45 minutes, an hour with commercials.
Yeah, so it was an hour with commercials. It was an hour TV block.
There you go.
Because that was the big thing with this is like I watched maybe the first 2 seasons on DVD. And I'll get a little bit into Lost right now. My experience with it, but we got into it after it started airing. But my parents and brother, like my brother would get off from school before I did, they'd watch it without me. So they'd be watching it downstairs and I'd be watching the previous disc or something upstairs in my dad's office by myself because they couldn't wait for me, which, no, now thinking of is like, that's kind of evil.
Yeah, how many episodes were you behind?
It'd always be about 5 or 6 because I'd have to wait for them to finish their disc because we had the DVDs, their disc that they were on before I could take it and watch it. And I finally caught up. I think when season 3 dropped is when we got caught up and we were watching it week to week.
So the only ground you could make is when the season ended. Yes.
So when we finally caught up to where the show was, I was able to catch up to them and watch it. But I think it's one of the best shows. I've been really enjoying this retrospective because I'm able to learn a lot more about the context surrounding the show. You know, stuff I'm more interested in now than I was probably at that time. But just really learning more about it and a lot of the things that happened and being able to re-experience the story and the things that happened in the show has been very fun for me. He's been releasing this series over the course of the past 2 or 3 years. There's a coworker of ours actually that I got to vicariously live the show through. I don't want to say their names, but you know, like the married couple that works there just had a kid, and the guy is kind of like in charge of the day operation stuff now. They
I'm just nodding. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I'll tell you afterwards, but they started watching the show, and I'd always check back in with them when I'd see them, be like, hey, were you in the show? What'd you just experience? And getting to talk with them about that. It's one of those shows that I would love to watch this show again with somebody who's never seen it before and doesn't really have anything spoiled. It's that entertaining of a watch to like for the twists and reveals and the shocks to be like, wow, I can't believe this is happening, or this like the like I like to call the flash forwards, where the first time I remember seeing that and realizing that, oh, it's not a flashback like they usually do, but a flash forward, it blew my mind. And just a lot of cool stuff like that. I'll probably talk a little bit about my overall thoughts when I finish his final video, which came out some months ago. It's another long one going over the final season, but it kind of made me fall in love with a lot of the actors and actresses from the show. Some of them have had careers since then. I know like Matthew Fox. I was like, he's so good in this show. His character's written so well. He was in this movie called like Point of Interest or Person of Interest. I can't remember, but it basically was a movie where it's like, hey, it's about an assassination attempt on somebody, and they followed 6 or 7 different characters, and they'd play through the event from one person's perspective, and then they'd cut, they'd rewind back in time and go to the next person.
Person of Interest sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think that was a TV show. I think it was like Point of Interest or something, because it's about point of view. But like Forrest Whitaker was in it as like the president. Matthew Fox was in it as like the bodyguard. A couple other big people. And like Evangeline Lilly has gone on to do big things.
Is it this?
Yeah, Vantage Point. That's it. Yep, Vantage Point. His point was in there somewhere. Evangeline Lilly has gone on to be in the Marvel Universe. Harold Quinn hasn't really done anything big since, and I think he's probably one of the better actors from this show. He does an amazing job. He's in like an old horror movie that I can't remember. I think it's like Stepfather is the name of it, like an old slasher that he's really good in. But just everybody. Oh, Dominic Monaghan, actually, I think he had to leave the show at some point because he got cast in Lord of the Rings. He is one of, I think he's either Merry or Pippin. I think it's Pippin.
Matthew Fox is in one of my favorite sports movies of all time called We Are Marshall from 2006.
Yeah,
unbelievably good movie. This is before Anthony Mackie was a lunatic. He was one of my favorite characters in that movie.
But yeah, if you got like 24 hours worth of time that you want to waste, watch this series that he released, especially if you're really interested in laws. It's been like me. I've been picking away at it for like a month now, watching a bit here and there. I finally finished this video specifically.
I might give the actual series a try.
Oh, I would highly recommend watching it, and I would love to, if you wanted to, like, I would be rewatching it, and we could talk about stuff maybe as like a, hey, let's do a video on season 1.
Could be fun.
I love that show so much. Is it the best show ever made? Probably not. It is my favorite experience watching a TV show, because it also reminds me of the days back when it was like serialized TV. I really miss those days when it was like an event. This show is going live at this time. Everybody is going to be watching this show at between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Every single person in the world, because that's when it went live. Now with streaming, it's a lot of, hey, I'll catch it right when it goes live, or maybe I'll catch it the day after. That's kind of how it is now.
That's a lot different. That is exactly how Dexter was.
Oh yeah,
in the day, because we lose a lot of the water cooler talk these days.
Yeah.
There's always the, oh, I'm only on season 2, don't spoil it for me. When you want it, you're just itching to talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
But sometimes this web browser does this, but
I think some time ago, probably like 4 or 5 months, I said that we had reached the end of my Hyrule campaign, but through the fact that they had defeated Ganondorf, defeated final boss. But we had our like final session last weekend where we did all the wrap up, relived some of the memories of what had happened throughout the campaign, had some resolutions with the characters, and kind of went, okay, this is where they're going on into the future, like a campaign wrap up. And it's my first ever time I've been able to do that for a D&D campaign. It's funny, this is the second game that I've ever run, and it finished before the first one, which is still ongoing. We are going to have some one shots that they'll replay with their characters, but this was the conclusion to everything. And I just wanted to mention that it's a milestone for me. I feel I've been able to wrap up my first D&D campaign, and it wasn't one that we had to cancel or stop doing. I've had a lot of mini stuff like that where it's hey, we started something, we had to end it. This we actually got to finish.
See it all the way through,
and it meant a lot to me because I started this with 3 other friends of mine in my parents' dining room by ourselves. I love Zelda. I'm gonna make a D&D world set in Hyrule and be able to write my own Hyrule story. And kind of crazy how everything's ended up, but I'm also excited because I have been for 6 or 7 years been working on another campaign, off and on, that is very inspired by Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? It's kind of that idea mixed with a bunch of other stuff that I really like. But I'm really excited for that one now. It's sad to see this one end. I really enjoyed it a lot, but I'm very excited to start something new.
Cool.
Wanted to mention that.
All right, so before we get into our wrap up here, so I'm gonna do just pick at our brains in terms of movie knowledge and things we've seen and things that stick with us throughout the years. Kind of like a question of the week type situation, just to see where we're at. See, let us know down in the comments or in the chat or anything what your experience would be. But our question this week: what is a scene that you've seen in a movie that is too hard to watch? Maybe when you watch the movie back, you skip over it, or it's just something that kind of lingers in your brain. Yeah. For instance, I'll give you an example of one that's not mine. When in the movie It Follows, when they're on the beach and they think they've gotten away from it, and you see it slowly in the back. That's something that'll stick with you. And your eyes kind of readjust. Is that something coming?
Yeah, or watching Mike's tots from is it Michael's tots from The Office, where it's that kind of hard to watch?
Oh, I don't know.
It's real cringe. It's real cringe. Where he has to tell these kids that the whole episode is he told these kids, "Oh, I'm going to pay for your schooling when you grow up," but he just said that to be nice, and then they're celebrating him paying for their college, and he has to tell them at the end of the episode, "Hey, I can't pay for your schooling." It is real hard to watch because it is super cringe, but I mean that's a lot of The Office.
There's many different versions of that. We'll start with Isaiah's from Evil Dead 2013.
Yep. I will always remember this moment because for me, I can watch super disgusting, bloody stuff, disturbing stuff, and it doesn't like
Terrifier for
Terrifier. It doesn't really get to me. And I watched Terrifier long after I did this, so maybe that's why Terrifier didn't get me as much as this did. But the scene that will always live rent-free in my head, where I remember in the movie theater, turning my head to the side and being like, wow, my stomach is not doing good, is the scene where after they've locked her up, but somebody falls back into the cellar, and the girl takes this knife out, and then she begins to, the girl in the picture begins to cut her tongue in half.
Oh, yeah.
That scene, I don't know what it was, but immediately I was I had to turn my head away. That's the first time ever watching a movie that I had to look away from the screen, and just remembering that feeling makes it hard to watch now. Like I said, I've watched Terrifier now, which has way more disgusting stuff, and I think it's because Terrifier is a little bit more, you could say, cartoony in its approach to things. It's very ridiculous. Real. It's very ridiculous setting where the whole point of this movie is it feels really gritty and dirty and disgusting, and that scene right there really got to me.
Cringy. So for mine, Jeremy and I did a review of Dr. Sleep probably 3 years ago at this point, and there's a scene in the movie. Now I'll keep context out specifically. So Dr. Sleep's the sequel to The Shining, and there's a group of individuals who basically they kill this boy, this young child boy, human person, and they stick with this for way too long. There's a lot that the child, he's preteen. The screams of the child when these adults are killing him is very, very difficult to. Every time I think of Dr. Sleep, I think about this scene first. And it's a very good movie, but this is stuck with me. Now, when we were doing the review, the reason I bring it up is that, like, man, that must have been like a 5 to 7 minute scene. It was so long and excruciating. We went back and looked while we were doing the review. It was like 90 seconds. It felt 3 times the length because of how hard it was to watch. So, does it ruin the movie for me? No, but I've seen this movie twice now. And the second time I went back, I fast forwarded through that part because it was horrible. So
I'm putting out my resolution. I'm going to watch this movie before the end of the year. It's a slight little thing that Dan and I were talking about with this movie. It's been my, like, I've been trying to watch this movie for so long, and I didn't have the means to do it. And then when I finally got it, it was one of those movies where, like, man, I've been building up this movie so much in my mind that it feels like a lot now to watch it. And what if it's not as good as what I've built it up to? I get anxious about it. I never watch it. And it's been sitting on my movie rack for so long. I even have it signed by Mike Flanagan because it's the only physical thing I could have to have him sign when I went to meet him at New York Comic Con. And it's just like, I don't know. I've built it up so much in my head, but I'm going to watch this movie. I've heard so many good things about this movie. How it's like super underrated because a lot of people are like, oh, horror sequels, not good. But you things like that even, or it's just like, man, I love when movies get real like that and really try to disturb you. And yeah, I
think it has a lot to do. I mean, what they're doing to him is pretty rough, but the kid, and the kid is just a random kid. It's not even like we knew this was coming. This is just weird thrown in stuff, and it's really dark, but the movie itself is very good. It is a recommend. All right. Okay. So, this movie is supposed to come out March 14th, but in our local theater, it is actually coming out. There's a early access screening on March 8th. So I'm going tomorrow night to be very excited for it. Jack Quaid's a lot of fun, and the concept itself is quite good. It's a guy who can't feel pain. So, and he's got to, I guess he's got to do some John Wick type stuff, but we'll see. The trailer, I tried to keep it out of my brain as much as I could.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single trailer for the movie.
It looks good. It looks fun. So I'm going to be seeing that Saturday. Mickey 17, I'll be seeing Friday.
Yep, I'll be seeing this movie tomorrow. Well, I saw a trailer for it, and I kind of wish I didn't see part of a second trailer for it because it kind of spoiled a little bit of. Not to say spoiled is not entirely right, but I saw something that I wish I didn't kind of see that would have been surprising for the movie. But it's directed by Bong Joon-ho, who did Parasite, probably one of my like top 3 movies from the year that movie came out. It won the Oscar for Best Picture, kind of surprised everybody. And I think it's kind of cool that he said, hey, you know, I found all this success in America. Let me make a movie that's more... It feels like more of a passion project because it doesn't feel like... I mean, even Parasite didn't feel like an Oscar bait type of movie, but it definitely had a more like serious and mature feel to it. This one feels like a very fun movie. It's got Robert Pattinson, who I've really grown to like a lot over the years, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo. A lot of really good names that I really like a lot as actors. And yeah, just watching the trailer, it just seems like a fun movie. It doesn't seem like the type of movie you would see as the follow-up to Parasite, like as a directorial movie, but that just makes me more interested because it feels like personal.
I'm desperately hoping that Mark Ruffalo is a very, very seldom seen character, but
he looks like he's like the boss of the entire operation.
Which is the least believable thing I've ever heard. Good Lord. All right, so I said Saturday, I'm seeing Novocaine. Friday, I'm seeing Mickey 17. Tonight, literally the movie's in an hour from now. The Rule of Jenny Penn. What do you need to know about this movie? It is a horror movie with John Lithgow.
It has Jeffrey Rush in it, too.
Yeah. Jeffrey Rush is the protagonist. John Lithgow is the antagonist. And there's a creepy-ass baby. So,
that's cool.
The trailer is freaky. The concept is strange. It's about a bunch of people like in an old folks home, and some stuff starts to go down, we'll say, with John Lithgow at the helm. So
yeah, I think I remember you talking about this movie. I don't even think I've seen a trailer for it. But Jeffrey Rush, he's Barbossa, right? From the Pirates movies?
I'm not sure.
I think so. But
yeah, it looks freaky. I've tried to avoid as much of any spoilers as I can, so going in as soon as we leave here, going in blind. So
yeah. All right, and then I got coming up this weekend the new set from Disney Lorcana, as Charia. I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that, but Island. It does feel like the set is like with this set, they're starting to expand a little bit, kind of like what makes me enjoy Magic, where it's like, hey, we're gonna do a few more fun stuff. So you have like double colored cards now, which the one disappointing thing is they can only be played in decks that are both those colors. You can't do like an either or, which means there are some cards now that are just going to be like, hey, you can't use that in this deck because it doesn't have both colors. But it is allowing for more decks to be viable. Because right now it's really been just like a couple colors and then or different color combinations, and it's really like in the tournament scene, you're only really seeing like these 5 or 6 color combinations and deck types. With this set here, especially with a lot of the cards, it definitely feels like they're giving more power to other color combos. That's why I think the dual ink works really well. Where it's like, hey, this is a really good card that is only in these colors. Like, for instance, the blue color is usually only ever played with like purple, steel, or red. They have a really cool blue-green card, and I actually like playing blue-green a lot in my non-competitive deck. It's just a fun deck that I built. But it's going to cause people to want to build around that card and maybe make it more competitive of a deck. And I'm excited for that kind of thing to happen. And also the story, you could say, of Lorcana is starting to really take place. Like, the cool thing with Magic that it's been kind of losing recently is, hey, the story that's being told throughout the card sets being released is becoming a lot less interesting. And I think even this year, it's like, hey, we got 2, maybe 3 sets that are in universe, and then you have like 3 or 4 sets that are universes beyond. Like, they have Avatar, Spider-Man, and Final Fantasy coming out. Which, I mean, I'm excited for Final Fantasy for Magic. I don't follow the story of that one.
Final Fantasy for this?
No, for Magic the Gathering. But I am interested to see kind of like how much they're progressing the story of Lorcana now, as it's becoming like more and more of a thing. And it's nice to see that, hey, something good can come out of Disney, mainly because it's made by Ravensburger, not Disney themselves. It's just Disney's oversight.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for a lot of the cards in this set.
You know, I had a news story that'll go into my last thing. So AEW Revolution's this Sunday, but AEW struck a deal with Amazon Prime. So the TV series Collision and Dynamite are on HBO Max. You can buy the pay-per-views on Triller, but they just struck a deal with Amazon Prime to also air their pay-per-views.
That's cool.
So if you don't, I don't think you get a discount for having Prime, but it's still a pay-per-view. It's still the normal pay-per-view price. So it allows access to more countries.
Surprise! Like, what a surprise! More people are gonna like it if you can watch it on more things instead of just sticking it on Netflix and you can't watch it anywhere else.
Yeah. With it's still, X is still littered with every single time you try and go to any sort of AEW stuff, it's still riddled with the WWE mutants that are out there who I don't understand why you want to spend all of your time in the negative. I go to the AEW X account to get information, to get news, to interact with other people, but it is riddled with people. Oh, AEW sucks. It's like, okay, go watch WWE. It's fine. It's okay for there to be two things. It's also okay to watch both.
Yeah. You can have your thing be good and have something else be good at the same time. A lot of people don't understand that, though. It's the... I think it makes sense for sports, but it's that sports mentality of my team good, your team bad. Like in sports, it is a little bit more tribal, and I think it's a little bit more acceptable there to kind of have that mentality. Yeah. Because it's like you're following teams in an actual competitive setting. Like from your perspective, you want your team to win the Super Bowl, you could say. So it makes sense that you would want to raise your team up and other teams down. But like, it's not like there's a Super Bowl of AEW. Yeah. Right.
Well, there is, but there's also a Super Bowl of WWE called WrestleMania.
Yeah. But what I mean is AEW versus WWE. It's not like they are directly like competing against each other from that aspect as a consumer.
The other aspect of that is Monday Night Raw is on a Monday. Dynamite is on a Wednesday. SmackDown is on a Friday. Collision is on a Saturday. You don't have to choose one or the other, but there's a guy that we work with. He works in a different department, and I always see him, and this happens a lot with people who are like me, who want their thing to do good, but don't care if WWE does good, if they do bad, if they do okay. I don't care. But I talked to this guy about wrestling. He's a good dude. Maybe I talked about this before. I don't know. But he will not give AEW any credit ever. So when I'm literally wearing an AEW hoodie right now. When I talk to him, he talks about WWE for 15 minutes. And I go, oh, that's cool. That sounds good. But then if I bring up AEW at all, he refuses to give them any credit whatsoever about anything. And for instance, there's a character in AEW who was in WWE. Be quick here, but she is a fantastic in-ring wrestler. She was against Ric Flair's daughter, who was like their main character. Mm-hmm. WWE treated her like absolute trash. They embarrassed her. They made her look like a fool. She goes to AEW. She's their top champion. She's a 4-time AEW women's champion. When I talked to this guy about Toni Storm is her name. I don't know if that's her real name or not, but that's her stage name. He goes, oh man, I really wish you'd be back in WWE. And I really want to say, why? Why do you want her to be this scrub in WWE rather than the top person, the top female in AEW? There she is right there. This feud, by the way, I'm not particularly like gung-ho about women's wrestling. I like it, but it's not why I tune into AEW, except with this. These two ladies are awesome. Mariah May and Toni Storm. Every single one of these matches is set to be good. These guys, the Outrunners, they're like 70s based wrestlers. Like their whole gimmick is like 70s Florida wrestlers. Every single one of these is going to be a banger. This one right here, Ospreay versus Fletcher, is probably going to be one of the most insane matches of the year. Kenny Omega's back against Takeshi. It's all going to be great.
Stuff to actually be excited about, but you can't have fun because it's not my kind of fun.
Right, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
So, and then a week from Sunday, actually, I'll be in Philadelphia for the AEW pay-per-view in Philly called Dynasty.
Cool.
Check out AEW. Give it a try. If you have HBO Max, just watch it. Come talk to me. The comments are open on YouTube. Come talk to me about it.
Whether it's the question we asked or anything else we talked about, AEW, just throw some stuff in the comments. We love. If you couldn't tell from us doing this podcast, we like to talk about stuff. So
yeah. So just to recap my weekend: Thursday, John Lithgow horror movie. Friday, Mickey 17. Saturday, Novocaine. Sunday, Revolution. It's going to be fun. Mm-hmm. So,
and then you get a week of pain.
Yeah, and I go to work for a week and hate every second of my life. So, please like, subscribe here, subscribe on YouTube. Really appreciate it. I got really nervous for a second because did Did I hit for the stream to start?
Yeah.
I just got a little sick to my stomach there for a second.
Not a repeat, please.
Oh my god. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Check out youtube.com/@mediamen, and we're gonna have more stuff coming soon. But we'll catch you good.